So, yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about this session. So, I'm going to kick it off with an overview of really what our stroke group network is all about and what we've all achieved this year and some plans for our future. And then we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to split the audience. So, for stroke association support groups, you will be leaving this main room and going into another room where Julia is waiting to talk with you. And then independently run groups will stay in this main room, and Sophia, our other group networks officer, will talk to you about the benefits that are available to you as part of your package. Now, the reason for doing this is to really be able to get into a real sort of deep dive in terms of the resources we offer depending on your group type. So when we get to that stage, I'll remind you again on how to do that. But yeah, just an overview of the day, rest of the day. And then we'll come back together and we'll have a really lovely 20 minutes celebrating everything you're doing across the UK. We've got some great input from a range of volunteers and groups who all want to showcase a little bit about what they've been doing. So I hope you'll be able to stay for that. Okay, next slide, please. So I want to start by just sharing a little bit about our network because we're talking about it a lot. So what is it and who is it made up of? As you can see, at the moment, the network has 381 stroke support groups currently active and engaged in it. And that is made up of 149 stroke association support groups. So these are groups a part of the Stroke Association, part of the charity, and 232 independently run groups that are connected to us through this network. And together we are a community of stroke support groups across the whole of the UK. Now, there's well over 1,000 volunteers who run these incredible groups, and many of you are here today. And from the data that we know of, 263 groups in the network are meeting face to face at the moment. 58 are offering a solely online support offer, and 53 groups are hybrid. So that means you're doing a mix of both, some face to face, some online, which is really interesting. And moving on to the types of activities you offer. Dawn in the last session was talking about lots of activities that Bruins offer, and we capture some of that data. So 59 groups are offering art, there are 65 exercise groups in the network, 32 groups that focus on singing, and 210 that are predominantly social, which is incredible. What an incredible community of people helping to rebuild lives after stroke, and who we can all learn from. We really are working at scale, aren't we, all together? Next slide, please. So let's just take a moment to reflect on what we've achieved this year. And I'll talk through each of these points. So the first one is stroke group voices. Now, I know in the opening session with Juliet, hopefully you would have joined and seen David Jones, who is a volunteer from the Grampian Stroke Club in Scotland. And he is part of Stroke Group Voices. And there is a lovely video on the exhibition space that he talks about what it means to be part of this group. So we really believe that volunteers' voice, experience and knowledge must inform our work with groups going forward, the development of how we support groups. So Stroke Group Voices meets monthly now. There's a real strong commitment from all the volunteers that are part of that. We have a range of work that we're talking about, and we really aspire for this group to represent all the 10 localities across the UK. So we are looking for more people to join. So if you're interested, do watch David's video. We've done a huge overhaul of our resources, and this includes the intranet. And so we've got all resources that are available to you on the intranet in one place. And we've updated a lot of those resources too, which you'll hear about from Julia and Sophia in a moment. Our website is there on the screen. Sorry, it's a bit of a small picture, but the aim here is to let you know that actually we've improved some of that functionality. So we now have a new search function that you can search on town as well as postcode, and there's a map. So the map will show all of the groups across the network that are currently open and welcoming new members. So hopefully that gives you a flavour of what's going on. And it's another opportunity for people who are seeking support to see that in a different way rather than using a search function. And we've improved our infrastructure, which may sound a bit dry, but actually it's crucial that how we are structured internally is the best so that we can facilitate this network for you. And one of the examples we've got there is our database project. So Sophia has been leading that, and it's about really making sure the type of information we are capturing from yourselves is right. There is a place for it. And what that does is enable, for example, more people to find out about your group. And it also helps us with our data accuracy. And I always have a saying, hashtag data saves lives, because data is so important to be right in everything we're doing around this work. Next slide, please. We have also really tried to celebrate volunteers in the network recently, and I hope some of you have seen on the exhibition space the 3 volunteers that won the Platinum Jubilee Champion Awards, which is incredible for outstanding contributions as group volunteers. And we raised the profile of that on My Stroke Guide and on our social media channels. And while that is supporting and congratulating everybody out there who is leading these groups, it's also raising the profile of groups so that people know you exist and we can direct them into the website to self-refer to you. We've recently heard as well, there's a wonderful group down in North Devon, and they're an activity group, and they're running sessions like table tennis, bowls, swimming, surfing, archery, and they've won an award from Active Devon, which will absolutely be promoting when we get the picture. So when you nominate volunteers in your groups, please share that with us, because we would love those nominations to continue to celebrate all that you're doing. A big focus, which we talked about last year, but it's really important, is developing partnerships to benefit you at a local level. And one example is our work with the organisation Just Bowls. And we had an opportunity for groups to take part in a free 12-week programme. Over 30 groups expressed an interest. And as you can see from the photo, groups are definitely enjoying it. We've worked more closely with our corporate partnerships team. So, for example, Essential Aids is a partner of ours. They're on the exhibition. They have daily living aids that can help people both inside and outside the home. And shortly after the conference, we've arranged for a brochure from them to be sent to the main contact of your group so that you can share that information with your members. And Stroke Group Voices all tested the brochure, they all got sent a copy, and they think it's a really great resource that they've shared in their group. We've also hosted these new network online sessions. So we had 2 this year, focusing on salt awareness and on physical activity. And the aim is to do a deep dive into a topic so that you have some more resources to take back to your group. And finally, we are continuing to embed local forums and sort of grow that space, either online or face to face. And this is where you can connect with other people from your locality to really share ideas and get practical support on a local level for running your group. I would like to introduce Anne Bartle, because she's been going to the Midlands Forum. She just wanted to share a little bit on the value she gets from that space.
Hello, My name's Anne Bartle. I'm a stroke survivor. I'm secretary for the Parkland Stroke Club. I first became involved with the Stroke Forum about a year ago. It's a Zoom meeting of the Stroke Association and the volunteers who run the clubs around the Midland area. The Stroke Association engagement officers set these meetings up for us as stroke survivors to enable us to keep in touch with what's happening in the stroke survivor world. We discuss all sorts of things, including what we've been doing as a club over the last month and ideas for things to do at the clubs, as well as being brought up to date by the engagement officers. It's been particularly useful for me in giving me ideas for speakers and events to hold at the club. For example, we have recently taken part in the Just Bowls initiative, which we all thoroughly enjoyed, and we've also done a floristry session where we learnt to do a table decoration to take home with us. I would strongly recommend the forums because apart from making you feel you're not alone, it gives you a sounding board for ideas and banter and something to take back to the club.
Thank you so much, Anne. And if you would like to find out what the plans are for forums in your area, do check out the exhibition space, which should have our contact details for your engagement lead for your area. If you're not sure what area you're in, drop us a message and we can find that out for you. So what are our future plans? Well, we've recently co-designed some questions with volunteers so that we can find out, what do you want from the network? This is your network. What can we be doing differently or more of? So do look out for some of those questions that will come your way shortly. And we'll continue to develop resources to help you run your group. We want to grow the network. So that number of over 300 groups currently in the network, we want to grow that. We know there are more groups out there that can benefit by being connected to us all. But we'll grow the network at a pace that feels right for us. So we're really able to deliver the best experience for everyone involved. We want to put on more online sessions. Meeting once a year at this conference doesn't feel enough. So more of these deep dive sessions. We're considering a focus on fundraising in the new year. Tell us what other sessions you would find useful. And we want to develop relationships with more organisations to benefit you. So again, tell us what relationships are important and what activity you want us to focus on. And finally, next year, I think we really want to do a bit of a focus on diversity, accessibility, and inclusion. I know it's come up as well throughout this conference with Dawn's examples of how to be inclusive and supporting members. And there's a lot of people involved supporting people with aphasia in the network. So can we bring more of a focus on that to share best practice? Okay, so now what we're going to do, I hope that overview has been helpful. We're not going to do a question and answer on that, but if you do have questions or want to carry on any conversation, just contact us. The email's there at groupnetworks@stroke.org.uk and we can let you know answers to any questions.
Hello, and thank you so much for joining us in this breakout room. I'm Sophia, and I'm part of the Group Networks team alongside Beth and Julia, who you can see in the photo with me. This session is dedicated to you, the independently run groups that are part of the Stroke Group Network. And after this session, I'll be sending the presentation containing links, so don't feel you have to take notes. We currently have over 232 incredible independently run groups that are part of our network to date, and we'll be looking at growing this number in the new year to get a wide breadth of coverage across the UK for stroke survivors and carers. In the next 25 minutes, we will cover the benefits package offer, show you the types of resources available on the intranet, look at group referrals through the website, and discuss how we make referrals to your group. Then we'll move on to the stroke-specific resources for you and your members before moving on to a new welcome pack. And we'll finish by discussing the stroke group voices and how you can get involved. There will then be an opportunity at the end for us to answer any questions, reflections, or comments that you may have added to the chat bar. First, we'll start with the benefits package. This package lays out exactly who we are and what our aims are for the network. It describes how we are working together with all types of independently run groups across the UK, as well as explaining the types of support we offer. If you haven't read this already, then I highly recommend that you do, because it may highlight some benefits that your group may wish to take up. If you would like to receive a copy, please email us at groupnetworks@stroke.org.uk and we'll get this out to you. So one of the types of support we offer is a huge range of resources specifically for you on running groups, which can be found on our intranet page. Our most popular resources include our toolkit, which provides information, guidance, and advice on the key documents that groups can have in place to provide a good standard of care. This includes constitutions, template risk assessments, and more. We also have a raising and spending money section, which provide bank account options, as well as money managing and fundraising guidance. We also shared our group role descriptions for those who are recruiting volunteers and wish to see some of our recommended roles and responsibilities. There are many, many more resources than this. So if you haven't already, you can access this bank of resources on our intranet via a link which we'll add to the chat. If you have any problems with logging in, then you can contact us at Group Networks or contact internal comms at internalcomms@stroke.org.uk. We know how important it is for many of your groups to reach new members, which is why another benefit of being part of the network is being able to advertise your group via the Stroke website. This is where members can search to find what stroke support groups there are in the community. The web pages have been updated to make it easier for people looking for support. Now members can search for a group in your area by inputting their postcode or place name, or by selecting a group on the map. Since launching the online form on our website, we have over 100 potential new members per month reaching out to groups across the UK. When groups such as yourselves receives a referral, it will look like the email on the right. This form provides some basic information which groups can then use to contact members and introduce them to the group. But in order to get the best from the website, we need your group's information to be up to date. If there have been any changes to your group, then please let us know by filling in the form being sent in the chat. Other places that refer into your group include the helpline, local coordinators, and engagement officers through their work in the community. Engagement officers will also invite you to any local forum they do in the area and let you know about local opportunities. One example would be our partnership with Just Bowls, which many groups have taken up and now use as an activity for their members to enjoy. Members may also hear about the group through postal mailings, such as our Stroke magazine, which goes out to over 50,000 people. In the last postal mailing, there was a feature called The Power of Art and Peer Support, which you may have read. This highlights the impact that going to a local stroke group had. In return, this has generated a lot of interest to the groups within the network, including people who are outside of the network who run stroke groups who, after reading the article, wish to join. Moving on to stroke-specific resources, which can also be provided to independently run groups. So if a group wishes to learn more about stroke and the effects of stroke, then we have stroke-specific resources for you. We have a huge range of informational videos which cover topics such as what is a stroke, how to reduce your risk of stroke, how to recognise if someone is having a stroke, and the impact and effects of stroke. These videos cover topics such as aphasia and fatigue, which again can be found on the intranet or My Stroke Guide. You can also access free fact sheets which are available on the Stroke website. For those that may not know, all independently run groups that are part of the network are entitled to a free one-off pack of publications which can be shared at your group. If you wish to make an order, then please let me know at Group Networks at stroke.org.uk and I can get that sent out to you. So something that we currently have in development and are hoping to send out in the new year is a physical welcome pack. This welcome pack is something we wish to send to all new groups who join the network. In it, they will receive a welcome letter, a copy of the benefits package that I spoke about earlier, and contact information, as well as information on other services in the organisation. Finally, I wanted to talk to you about Stroke Group Voices. Stroke Group Voices are a small team of people who meet on Zoom to help inform and influence the development of our independently run groups offer within the network. We are currently looking to expand the breadth of people who support this and would love to hear from anyone who is interested in joining. We draw on your knowledge, so if you're interested, email me at Group Networks and I can invite you to come along to our next meeting in November. And that's it for my presentation. I now want to give a quick demonstration of how to log onto the internet, if we could please swap screens. Thank you very much. Just checking that we can see that. Brilliant. Okie dokie. So the link that we sent earlier in the chat was this link up here. So it's intranet@stroke.org.uk. Here, if you are an independently run group that have registered to be a part of the network, then this is where you can sign into the intranet here, where it says volunteer login. So we're just going to click on this. Then the email address that you use to register with the network is what you put under username. So under there, put your email address in, and you should have received, when we registered you with the network, an email from internal comms providing you with a password. If you can't find that email or you're not sure what your password is, don't worry. Use the reset button here. Or contact us at Group Networks or contact internal comms and we'll get you on the intranet. So I'm going to log in now by pressing this button. And this is your intranet. This is the landing page and this is where you can find your resources. So two ways of finding resources is one, firstly, through this button here called Network. And secondly, you can go on to what you need. Then scroll down to Stroke Group Network and you can click here. And this is the landing page for the Stroke Group Network resources. So this is our kind of one-stop shop for all of our information. Here you can find things like a blurb about the Stroke Group Network, our frequently asked questions page here. You can learn about our partnerships, finding active stroke groups within the network. So this is a reflection of what we see on the website. And also an important tab is if you need to update your group information. So as I said about that information, it's really important to be accurate. So if you do need to change it, do use that form, or alternatively, you can come onto the intranet and click this link here. So now just going back to what I said about that wide-ranging information that we have dedicated to just independently run groups, which is this button here. And this is where you can find the information that we've created for you. So first and foremost, we can see the benefits package that I spoke about. So this is available here and you can download it or read it from your computer. Then we have information on our toolkit. So the toolkit that I mentioned earlier as well as being one of the most popular resources that we have. So we have some information here, but you can also click it and we also have some links to some of the documents that you can find within it. So this includes safeguarding and police checks for independently run groups, insurance, and Just Giving guide. Okay, we also have some information on supporting your members. So I spoke earlier about those resources that we have on My Stroke Guide, those informational videos about aphasia and communication, which are here. Emotional changes after stroke. We also have some information on meeting members' needs. I'm just going to give you a quick tour of activity guidelines as being one of the resources that we have. So hopefully you can see this. So as I said, it's an activity guidelines toolkit, which we have shared. So on the left-hand side, you can see all the different types of activities that groups may want to do. And on the right-hand side are the kind of considerations and recommendations that we have that you can take into consideration if you want to do any of these activities. So just jumping back then, show you a little bit more. We also have the raising and spending money section, which I said is also popular. So we have banking on it, bank account options if you haven't seen this before. So that is just for independently run groups that are looking to learn a bit about what bank account options there are. A checklist to key banking accounting tasks. So if I just click on banking on it, just so I can give you a quick tour and wait for this to load. So banking on it is a document that was put together for stroke association support groups. But we're sharing it just in case you find it useful. There's lots of information here on financial management. So you can go through this and take from it what you will. Just take into consideration that not all of it will be 100% relevant to you. Okay. Okay, so there's information on insurance, partnerships. We also have group role descriptions, so we shared those shared those with you as well, in case again you want to take from it what you will. We also have guidance on getting online. There's lots of guidance there. Through the pandemic, it was really acknowledged that a lot of support was needed. So we have guides, and as well as guides, don't forget we have our partnership with AbilityNet, who support people to access online. Okie dokie. So I think I'll stop sharing the page now, if that's okay. Just wanted to give you a flavour really of what we had. So when you get the chance, do try and log on to the intranet, as I said, and take your time and explore all the different pages that you might find really useful for running your group. So yeah, thank you all so much for listening. I'll now hand over to Esther to share any questions there may be. But before I do, I just wanted to take this opportunity to really thank you for all that you do for stroke survivors. You provide that long-term peer support, which wouldn't be possible without you volunteering your time, soul, and expertise. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name's Esther Freeman, and I am the head of locality products at Stroke Association, and the Stroke Group Networks team are part of my team. I'm incredibly proud of them for these last couple of days, and I've been listening, and it's been wonderful to hear all of the experiences. And I'm going to pick up some questions now. Please do add anything in the chat. If you haven't already, anything about something that Sophia has said, or just a question you'd like to understand more about, or sort of use our Sophia's expertise, pick her brains a bit. We've had one question, Sophia, and I know you've sort of touched on this already a bit, that was sort of a work in progress, but David in Luton has said our group is listed on the website, but doesn't appear on the map.
Okay, yes. So we are having some small issues with the map at the moment. So I've already been in contact with our web team today. All groups should appear on the map. All groups should have accurate data on the map. So yeah, don't worry. Drop us an email at Group Networks and we'll work to fix that. I have been reassured that all information has now been updated in the past hour or two. So it could be a case if you go back, it will be correct now, but There's lots of links to the website, so definitely tell us and we'll get that changed for you.
Thank you, Sophia, and hopefully, David, that will be correct soon, and obviously get in touch if it isn't. So I have a question, Sophia, if that's okay to jump in with my own. So are there any groups or organisations that you personally or the team think that you'd like to see join the network to expand it and increase our reach?
I mean, yeah, differently. There's lots of organisations out there that I'm quite excited to work with. We haven't got to that stage yet because we're kind of still in our sorting out foundations. But in the new year, this is definitely something we want to conquer at Stroke Group Network. So some of those are just groups like we have Headway, we have Different Strokes. But then there's lots of stroke organisations out there, like national stroke group organisations and local. But there's also ones that are kind of indirect. So we've got like Alzheimer's UK, Alzheimer's Society Carers UK. And we want to tap into all of these, essentially. All of these we want to work with, we want to expand the network and really showcase to other organisations how we can work together to improve the lives of stroke survivors and carers in the community. So yeah, there's just a few of them, but there's lots more. There's lots more to unpick.
Fab. It sounds like there's lots of opportunities to expand and engage more people. So another question that I know came up in a conversation with somebody from our groups is that question of what actions do you think that we could all be taking to see the breadth and diversity of our network and our groups increase? So how can we all work together to see underrepresented people engage in the network?
Yeah, so it is a tricky one. So there's lots of, we know that we are not capturing everybody who's having a stroke. There are people that are, for one reason or another, not engaging with us, and we need to work harder. We need to spread the word that we are an inclusive, diverse group. And people are only going to want to be a part of us if they see more people like them in it. So one of the areas that we want to really challenge is there's lots, like stroke doesn't discriminate. So all age ranges out there. And yet we see a lot of like the same age range. And we need to show people that, you know, you will find like people that are similar to you in the organization. Same with different cultures and backgrounds. And I think as like myself, I feel like my responsibility in this is to go out there and tap into other organizations that are successfully working with all different types of people and learn from them. So that's kind of one of my personal aims. I think something that I would say to everybody is just keep sharing the most amazing work that you're doing. Keep shouting about it. And just really anybody and everybody who's affected by stroke, encourage them as best as you can to come and be a part of it. Maybe visit places that you haven't been before. Maybe like if it's like the local mosque, and just encourage people just to come and be a part of the network and see if they can get anything they can from it.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. I think it's that increasing the awareness of and understanding about what support is available, because it's sort of, you know, people aren't going to engage if they don't know that we're there. And I think it's asking ourselves sometimes the difficult questions or encouraging us to think in a different way. So who are we not reaching? Well, how might we? Where are these people? Why aren't they engaging with us? So we kind of, you know, challenge ourselves to think differently. And I picked up yesterday from the conversation about wanting referrals. So sort of like, how do we engage and with people newly diagnosed? So the sort of conversation that Juliet was having yesterday about our step change areas. So how do you think that we could expand awareness of the network into the community? So maybe beyond the referrals direct from hospital. So I know you've touched on some of that there, but I think there's sort of the newly diagnosed, so people who go through the hospital setting, but sort of, you know, beyond that, where do we think that we could try and engage people?
I've been in the organisation for a while now, and I think it's really helpful to have experienced almost like the stroke pathway in all different forms. So yeah, you're right about the hospital referral. I think that is a key one that people focus a lot on, and it's brilliant to have that presence. But I think at that time, for some people, they're not ready to hear. Like certainly when I worked as a coordinator, and I did used to go to wards, they were overwhelmed just hearing from me. And I wanted to provide them with that key worker support. So I think it is a case of just sharing. We've got the website. We want to tap into other organisations, rehabilitation centres. There's all these other places apart from the hospital that we could be tapping into, sharing. And I just think, for me, I can definitely highlight and speak about the network and speak about encouraging people to join groups, but nothing's better than hearing it word of mouth from the people that have actually experienced it themselves.
Absolutely. That power of peer support. You're completely right.
It is.
Thank you so much, Sophia, and thank you everybody for engaging in the session. It's been brilliant to hear more about independent groups and learning about how we can connect with each other and the resources available.
Hi everybody. I hope those sessions were useful to you, seeing the resources that are available. We've really tried to work hard on improving them. And in the session I was in with Julia, there was some really great feedback for more things that we need to go and check and improve on. So that's what it's about, working together to get this right. Okay, we're in the final home stretch now, and this is all about celebration. So do sit back and enjoy it. Really about bringing to life your groups and the breadth of what you're all offering out there across the UK. So I'm going to start by introducing a wonderful lady called Madeline, and she's a choir instructor at a group called Cuckfield Communication Support Group, and she's going to talk a little bit about her role in that group and then introduce a song.
Hello there, my name is Madeline Castry and I'm delighted to be here today to introduce the work of the Cuckfield Stroke Communication Group to you and have a little bit of a chat about how we use music to positively impact the lives of people living with the effects of stroke. I've been fortunate to be involved with this group for a number of years, and it has some truly wonderful individuals, each with their own story. And I became involved in this group actually through the husband of the group leader, Carolyn Dodd. Carolyn's husband runs a branch of Parkinson's UK, and one of my friends was diagnosed with Parkinson's several years ago. So I started to work with her to use music to positively impact her motor function and her mental well-being. And this rolled out into a series of workshops with the Parkinson's group. And Carolyn actually asked me if I would like to apply this to people living with the effects of stroke. So I went along to the Cuckfield Stroke Communication Group, and the effects of music on these wonderful people were really amazing to me. I've based all of my work around my vocal training as a professional singer, musician and PhD student. And my way of working with music basically implements classical vocal technique in a very simple, user-friendly, accessible way to support motor function, communication, and of course, mental well-being, which we get through singing. Singing releases powerful neurotransmitters, dopamine, serotonin, and it's that joy of singing together, making music, and improve all of these physical and mental things along with it. There's been some wonderful cases with people I've worked with who substantially improved their breath control through singing. The way I work uses rhythm and beat structure to assist in phonation. I think sometimes the spontaneity of speech can cause a little bit of disruption of the flow of the voice. And music really presents a gift with this, because in song we have phrasing, we have the shape of the vocal line, we also have the intention of the communication. And this has so many positive effects on the physical motor function of anybody, as well as the general sense of mental and physical well-being that comes with it. So it would be wonderful if music was more readily introduced across groups. I'm really, really passionate that music should be accessible. Singing is free, we can all sing, we all have a song in our hearts. And I think sometimes the idea of singing technique can sound a little bit alien and a little bit daunting. But I reckon that you're already using good singing technique without realising it. All of my work is rooted in the very basic foundation of using our voice effectively and safely. Our voice is our main communicative tool, and it's such a sad fact that it's so often affected in cases of stroke. But there is hope after stroke, and we can use techniques to build stamina within the voice, gradually start to build muscles, to get the flow of the words, to ease communication, and ultimately, I think, bring people together through communication in music. Now with Cookfield Stroke Communication Group, I was really amazed by their ability to learn new music. And I sometimes found that songs are not always written in a friendly way in terms of phrasing, beat structure, the words that are used. So with this in mind, I composed a song especially for the group. It uses simple phrasing, beat structures, it uses short words to improve vocal stamina, assist in phonation, and make sure the voice is as effective as it can be while sending out a really inspiring message. This song is called Out Loud and is sung entirely by the group, including people living with the effects of stroke, as well as their carers, friends, family and volunteers as well. There's an accompanying video which shares some statistics and facts about stroke and also just how powerful music can be. It's a bit of uncharted territory music. Of course, there's music therapy techniques out there, but there's always ways that music can help us. And it really does, above anything else, improve mental and physical well-being, and is something that's free, accessible, and really enjoyable. Creates a great sense of community, and it would be wonderful if you could add this to your group in some way. And really just celebrate in the joy that is music. So I am absolutely honoured and privileged to introduce to you Out Loud, sung by Cookfield Stroke Communication Group, written especially for them to share and celebrate all of their achievements, their individual stories, and how there is hope after stroke.
Oh, that gets me every time. I've seen it a few times now, and it is very moving. So thank you so much to everybody at Cookfield Communication Support Group who sing wonderfully and led by the wonderful Maz. If you do want to find out more on what Maz does, do check out the exhibition. There's the information from talks area in the exhibition space, and she's got lots of recordings that are on YouTube, so you can practice some of the warm-ups and things that she uses. There's that resource for you, and in the group exchange there's more wonderful videos from Cookfield. I'd now like to introduce Sue Schofield from Fun for Strokes. She's going to talk a little bit about what she does at her group.
My name is Susan Schofield and I chair the Fun for Stroke Support Group in Burnley, and I am the treasurer of the Bolton Aphasia Stroke Support Group. I have been a volunteer for 12 years now, firstly starting a carers group with the help of my coordinator, Andrea Walsh, a coffee and a chat to support other people feeling isolated and alone like myself when their lives get affected by stroke and suddenly become a carer. Soon I realised not everyone could make it during the day and often having to take their partners to appointments, etc. So I started an evening one, a wine and a whinge. In 2015, the local stroke group closed. So with 2 previous volunteers, I started the Fun for Stroke group to support stroke survivors while also giving the carers a chance to leave them so they could enjoy a couple of hours to themselves. I absolutely love volunteering. It gives me a purpose and I enjoy it when you get a lot of satisfaction when seeing people laughing and enjoying activities you have organised for that meeting. You give the survivors a chance to meet each other, rebuild their lives. It's amazing how they help each other and grow in confidence. I try to organise different activities for the Fun for Stroke group, which range from speakers coming in to talk to the group to seated yoga. We even have a craft session hosted by members of the group. We have quizzes, games. We even have an online bingo monthly. We also go out for outings when we can afford it. We recently went to Bannies for fish and chips to celebrate the Queen's Jubilee. And we're currently planning the Christmas party outing. I found that presentations can be great for everyone to get involved with. Often members themselves talk about their hobbies, interests, sometimes an interesting holiday they might have been on. Stephen and Eamon did a presentation on fishing. Trevor did a presentation around when he was the Mayor of Rosendale. I also think informative presentations are good too. Back in March, I joined the Stroke Group Network online sessions that were about salt and its effect on blood pressure. Held over Zoom and open to all group volunteers in the network. The sessions focused on Season with Sense, a public health campaign with the aim of driving down consumer sodium intake. The sessions provided practical information and education around salt. They are takeaway resources that you can use with your group to encourage healthier eating. And the well-known TV doctor and low-salt advisor, Dr. Sarah Jarvis, spoke too. Then group volunteer and chef Chris King shared his story and top tips on healthy eating, which you can also share with your group. I learned so much from this session that I wanted to share it with my group, the Fun for Stroke, and the Bolton Aphasia Stroke group too. We created our own presentation and notes based on what we learned at the Stroke Group Network. It's about 11 slides with notes. Took about 40 minutes in all. I took in various packaging for members to see the salt contents and lots of different foodstuffs like curry meal, some cheesecake wrappers, packet of crisps, wrappers from sandwich meats. The presentation were a good conversation starter for the group to talk about salt and healthy eating. We had a long discussion about the information. Lots of members were shocked and said they would take notice now. And like many members, including myself, didn't realise it was a big risk factor for high blood pressure. It certainly made me more aware. Now, I don't even season my cooking with salt. I prefer to use chilies and spices. And when I buy pre-packed food from the supermarket, I always check the labels on the items. It really opens your eyes by noticing just how much salt is hidden in your food and how we can make healthier choices. One lady commented on social media about how she'd learned during the lesson but I'd made a planned chow mein for tea, then realising there was nearly a week's worth of salt in the soya sauce alone, and promised to try harder now after becoming more conscious of the salt. These season with sense sessions are available for you to watch in the exhibition space. I've also shared my presentation and notes too in the group exchange. If anyone wants the resources, just email the group network team. If you have any questions for me, let the team know and they will be able to connect us. And do share any ideas in the chat box of presentation topics that have worked well in your own group.
Thank you so much, Sue. And it's so nice to hear that you got good information from these national sessions and were able to take that information and deliver it in a way you wanted to in your group. And yeah, do check out Sue's presentation, which is in the group exchange. Lovely. Okay, we have one more video from Annie Burton, and she's going to talk a little bit about her experiences of running bowls in her group. Over to you, Annie.
Well, I'm Annie Burton, and I lead the Andover Stroke Aphasia group in Andover, Hampshire. When I joined the group, I'd only just had a stroke about 6 years before that, and they asked, the leader left, and she asked me if I would take the job on, so to run the group. So and the group was then about 12, 14 people. And but mainly older people. They weren't as young as me, although I'm 65 now, but they were all in their sort of 70s and 80s. And I took the job on. I like to keep them active because how activity is so important to me, and I find it's so important to everyone, really. To health-wise and just physical fitness and everything is so important. And it helps the brain, especially.
So how do you think doing bowls has supported your members?
They enjoy it to start with, and also it's given them more focus on things. Like when I first started with the first lots of people, one man, he could hardly walk at all, and he couldn't speak whatsoever. But he had his whole left side was completely damaged by the stroke, and the same as mine was. But I was a lot younger than him, so it wasn't so bad for me. But he used to really enjoy coming, and he was a fantastic bowler, really fantastic. And him and another man who was he couldn't speak at all, and he was actually Jamaican, and it brought back memories for him, because when he was out in Jamaica, but as a child, he remembered watching people playing bowls and cricket, and because his granddaughter who lived with said to me afterwards one day, Annie said, that's really helped my granddad. He said, because he remembers it all from his childhood now, from playing. He said it's really helped both of them. And then another lady who she doesn't come anymore either, but she was a teacher in a high school in London, and she was a very, very prim and proper lady. And I said to her about coming to play bowls. Bowls? I'm not playing bowls. Said, well, give it a go, Hilary. So she said, oh no, not me. So I said, I can't do that. I can't do that. I said, well, I don't see why you can't. So anyway, she came along and she said, oh, I really enjoy this. This is really good. So it completely changed her mind as well.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Annie. How incredible that the support you offer people can tap into memories. I think that's an incredible takeaway from what you shared there, Annie. Really, really powerful. We're coming to the end of the session now, and I'm going to leave you with a montage in a moment, and then I won't appear on screen. You'll be pleased to know you'll have your afternoon finished, but you can always join the Connect and Chat room at 2:30. But before I introduce the montage of all of your photos. This is your montage. I just wanted to say a few things. So first of all, I'm feeling quite emotional seeing and hearing and connecting with so many of you while I sit here in my daughter's bedroom. But I have found this an incredible 2 days, and I hope you feel energized and connected to each other. Thank you for everyone who's been involved in delivering over the last 2 days, and to the planning group who's been involved in shaping it, and to Anne Abbott and the whole of the events team who are absolutely the driving force behind this conference. Thank you for your enthusiasm and your engagement and being so active in the chat box. It's been absolutely incredible. There is a donate button, so if you have funds in your group or if you want to donate to the Stroke Association for attending the conference, we'd love it. But also there is no fee for the conference, but there is a donate button. It does obviously help us in terms of our running. And you will get an evaluation form from Anne. And I know that doesn't sound particularly exciting, but it is really exciting because we need to know how the conference has helped you, what have been your light bulb moments, what you'd like to see in the future. It helps us plan future events, and it helps us demonstrate to our funders why this is needed. So I'm going to hand over now to the montage. I'm going to hand over to you effectively, a beautiful collection of moments in your groups up and down the UK, moments that you've shared with us. So thank you for all you do for people affected by stroke. It's a goodbye from me, and I hope to see you soon.